Hello, everyone. Welcome back to your second day of the orientation, also the last day. Hope you're feeling great this morning. So we have 4 different activities scheduled today. They all have different Zoom links, so please make sure that you have your orientation schedule open with you. This morning, we're going to start with Cara from Scholarship and Student Aid. And she's gonna give us a nice presentation about how you can go about finding the scholarships and different aids available to you.
Thanks, Jenny. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to my very brief Money Matters webinar. My name is Cara Piperni. I'm the Director of the Scholarships and Student Aid Office. I'm also a McGill alum, an employee of over 25 years, and on behalf of my team, I'm so glad that you're joining our vibrant, amazing McGill community of students, faculty, staff, and alum. So today my goals are simple. I'd like you to know who we are, what we do, how to find us, and help you tap into financial wellness and support. Just to situate my service, we're a proud member of McGill Student Services. So here's a list of all of our colleague units where we all contribute to holistic wellness. We're united in our mission of wellness, including financial wellness, to help students reach their full potential, focus on self-development. Together we offer everything from community building and large-scale events, group workshops, as well as one-on-one specialized and confidential services. So this is a snapshot of what my office offers, and I'll go into these details in a few moments. But first, let's ask the bigger, more philosophical question as to who pays for a degree. Certainly a McGill Law degree is an excellent investment. Of course, it costs money. This cost can be magnified for students who don't have Quebec residency, so paying higher fee rates, and especially for students who might be taking on debt in order to finance their degree. So our philosophy at McGill, which is fairly pervasive in North America, is that there's 4 pillars of financial support for a student to have an opportunity to pursue a degree. For students who are pursuing a degree for the first time, i.e. coming directly from high school, or in the case of law, the only option is coming out of CEGEP, then they're considered dependent on their parents, who would then be expected to contribute to their students' cost of studies relative to their own financial capacity. For all students, it's also expected that students will bring money to the table, either through part-time work or earnings from a summer job or an internship, perhaps what they earn through scholarships or other recognitions with money attached. Every Canadian province and territory has a government student financial assistance program. So if the first 2 pillars aren't enough, then students can apply to their respective governments to receive forms of support either as non-repayable grants or as repayable loans. American students also have a federal government aid program at their disposal. Students from other countries may as well. So they can bring government aid to help with the cost of attendance. Finally, we believe it's McGill's responsibility to also contribute financial resources. Some may be in the form of merit-based, i.e. monetary recognition of academic or other achievement, and others may be need-based, which means that after a student's other resources are considered and exhausted, that McGill will give financial aid packages in the forms of bursaries, loans, and other interventions to help with any unmet need. We don't replace these other expected resources, but rather we supplement them. So let's talk about the opportunities and the services that my office provides to help make these pillars as strong as possible for you. Just a little bit of a glossary, because I know words matter and terminology can differ institution from institution. So really the distinction is what we call merit-based versus need-based. Merit-based is primarily tied to academic performance, but it could also be tied to other types of achievements. We use words like scholarships, prizes, and awards to speak about merit-based support. Need-based is primarily tied to demonstrated financial need. So this is when a need assessment is performed, considering all of the expected and actual resources available to students, looking at a frugal budget and planned expenses, and understanding where those differences are. This type of financial support is often called bursaries or grants when it's non-repayable, loans when it is repayable. So McGill has a variety of scholarship programs. Again, these are merit-based. They are highly competitive. My office only contends with first-time, first-degree entrance scholarships, but all other entrance scholarships and in-course scholarships are managed by the individual faculties. So what's important for you to understand or to inform yourselves about is how this works within your faculty. Are their scholarships automatic, or is it based on application? If you are given a renewable type of award, what is the criteria to ensure successful renewal? So just to make sure you have all those facts and deadlines at your disposal so you can take full advantage of these types of financial supports. My office administers 14 different government aid jurisdictions. So just like education in Canada, government aid in Canada is a provincial and territorial jurisdiction. So every province runs their own program. Some of those programs are integrated with a federal program called Canada Student Loans and Grants Programs. Some are not integrated. So it's important to understand what your program, based on your residency rules, is available to you and how it works. Each have various levels of generosity, rules, procedures. For first degree students coming from high school and CEGEP, most would be considered by government as dependent on parental resources. So parents also need to participate in a government aid application. If you're considered independent, i.e. this is not your first degree, but the rule Hi, folks. So I think I was talking and possibly lost you. Ginny, can you confirm?
Cara, you're still a co-host.
Okay.
Do you want to start
Everyone
sharing?
I'm happy to do that. Everyone looks frozen, so I'm just wondering, are you able to see me in an animated way, or it's problematic?
You're moving. You're moving on my
Okay.
end.
Yes.
Not sure when I fell off the cliff here. So I think I was on this slide. Does that make sense to you?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. Sorry about that, folks. So I'll just kind of start from the beginning of the slide in case there was something you missed. So I was explaining that government aid is a provincial territorial jurisdiction in Canada. So it depends on residency rules as to which one you can apply for. They vary in levels of generosity and processes, applications. They vary in their integration with the federal Canada Student Loan and Grant Program. So my office can help students figure out if you're eligible, to which jurisdiction you should be applying, how to apply for an appeal, supporting documentation requirements, getting recognized for special situations. In the example of law, one very common scenario is Quebec students who have been using aide financière aux études for their previous bachelor degree and now for their law degree. Law degree permits 43 months of eligibility, but unfortunately the government considers all of the months you used AFE from your prior degree as part of those 43 months. So if you're starting to hit the maximum, my office can help you go through a dérogation process to have the government recognize that you need more months of eligibility. So in this case, we would recommend that the summer before you think you're running out of funding, to come to our office. We can set up, it's a 1-hour appointment to go through what is a very detailed déro process. We submit that application for you, and we write letters of support so that the adjudication committee will consider your situation. So those are the kinds of ways we support you. We also have the fiduciary responsibility to these government agencies to confirm your enrollment so they can release your aid. We help you gain interest-free status if you have prior loans from another degree, but this degree you're not borrowing more. We can make sure that you don't have to start the repayment process because you're still a full-time student. And we also offer guidance about repaying those government loans. All right. Now I am, there we go. For our American students, McGill voluntarily participates in the U.S. Federal Direct Loan Program, otherwise known as Title IV. So American law students is considered part of a graduate professional program. You can apply for unsubsidized loans as well as Grad Plus loans up to your cost of attendance. And this is regardless of yours or your family's financial capacity. In fact, we have the highest number of Americans on loans, government loans, at McGill as compared to any other school in the world outside of the US. In fact, when you look at Canadian and American government aid and all of our full-time degree students who are eligible to apply, about 1 out of every 3 do so and rely on government aid as part of their financial plan. McGill also has its own institutional need-based financial aid program. This is comprised of bursaries, which are non-repayable, loans, which are repayable but interest-free while in full-time studies. We also have emergency cash loans. So for example, a wallet is lost or there's urgent medication needed and there's a cash flow situation, we are able to provide some in-person cash, not directly from our office, but through a partnership with another office on campus. We also offer the option of fee deferrals. So this allows you to postpone your payment of tuition and fees without interest and penalty for a certain period of time beyond the typical due date. So for example, we have fee deferrals for government aid recipients. If you've done your due diligence, applied to government aid in time, but through no fault of your own, there are some delays in getting your first installment, you can apply for a fee deferral as a government aid recipient and have 60 more days before you have to pay. If you're an international student and experiencing delays in international fund transfers, you can apply for an international student fee deferral where 50% of your tuition is postponed for a month beyond the fee date. So all of that information is also available on our website. Another component of our need-based aid program is work study. So for students that are looking for part-time, on-campus, or virtual work with McGill employers, you can apply to become eligible after you demonstrate financial need to our office. Employers apply to participate in work study, and we encourage them or have them prioritize needy students by giving them subsidies for every student that they hire and pay. At any given point in time, we have about 900 McGill students earning $3 million in part-time salaries through the work study program. So to tap into any of these programs, the eligibility rules is you need to be a full-time student or deemed full-time by virtue of a recognized permanent disability or the fact that you're the parent of a young dependent child. No matter what degree program, regardless of your geographic origin, you're eligible to apply. You have to be in satisfactory academic standing. If you have government aid at your disposal, particularly as a Canadian or American student, you have to have applied and taken the maximum available amount and still have demonstrated financial need. How to apply? Well, most programs are any time in the academic year as the need arises. It's through Minerva, through the financial aid and award menu. Once you press submit, you are then prompted if you need to schedule a one-on-one appointment with one of our financial aid counselors, and you can do that by either emailing our office or calling our office. These are 30-minute appointments where we review your specific information in a tailored and personalized confidential way, and then the financial aid counselor will make recommendations as to what form or package of aid is most appropriate. We can tailor disbursement schedule and a method of payment, which can either be to your fee account or to your bank account, depending on what your need is. We also have a number of special bursary programs. One is mobility for students who go on bilateral exchanges. This is a separate application that's still in Minerva through the Financial Aid and Award menu, but there are very particular deadlines. So there's a deadline of March 31st for students who are already aware and approved of attending a fall or winter in the upcoming academic year. And then there's another application deadline of October 31st for students who might have been recently accepted just for the following winter term. We also have an Enriched Educational Opportunity Bursary, otherwise known as EEO bursary. These are for students who wish to attend field semesters or field courses, or have unpaid off-campus internship or research opportunities that are endorsed by the faculty as having academic oversight and adding value in terms of skill development. But if you can't afford to take an unpaid opportunity because you otherwise have to forego paid work, we can provide bursaries to help with either the external costs such as travel, but also foregone earning costs. We also have special programs for students who have been in the youth and care, child protective services at any point in their lives. And we also have a special program for our Indigenous students. This is a partnership with Inspire, which is an Indigenous-based charity. McGill invests a substantial amount of monies. Inspire goes and retrieves a dollar-for-dollar match from the federal government. And our Indigenous students can be considered for two types of funding. One is a first-year undergraduate award. So if you're doing your a bachelor degree for the first time, you could automatically get $2,000 award with your proven Indigenous affiliation. Inspire also runs a program which is based on need, which is essentially a bursary program. So we strongly encourage our Indigenous students to apply here because there's a substantial amount of funding. One application deadline has already passed of August 1st, but the final deadline is November 1st. So students apply through Inspire, go through the documentation of identity verification, and then would be considered for both of those, as well as a host of Inspire's other bursary scholarships and awards that they adjudicate for. My office also offers a financial wellness, otherwise known as financial literacy, education programming. So this is about developing good life financial habits, starting your finances on a solid footing. This comes in the form of one-on-one counseling with a financial aid counselor on budgeting and debt management. And we also have a Frugal Scholar Money Management program, which was created with and for students. There's an online toolkit, as well as a host of workshops, which this year is being offered primarily virtually, but there'll also be a few in-person opportunities. This is just a very simplistic example of our Frugal Scholar budget pie. And it's surprising how many students really don't get into a budget habit, maybe until they're in a difficult financial circumstances. So this is a habit that we strongly encourage, and with some repeat, you can really develop a sense and control over your finances. So very simplistically, your pie is all of the resources that you're expecting or have in hand, and the slices are all the ways in which you're going to spend that pie. And if there aren't enough room for all of the slices, either those slices have to be reduced and made smaller, or your pie has to be enlarged by seeking other resources. So this is a good way to just figure out the money that's going out the door, the idea of needs versus wants, the notion of it's not a great idea to live beyond your means, and the notion of good and bad debt. What's an investment versus what's going to reduce your future opportunities by using consumer credit where that might not be necessary if you can manage a frugal budget. So there's a huge amount of benefits to having a financial plan. Just like any other plan, you're giving yourself a chance to be focused and achieve your goals. It's about personal wellness. Having control over your finances absolutely reduces the stress and certainly allows you to sleep better at night. It helps you to be a smart consumer about making sure, what's going out of the wallet is really, based on your values and your needs. And it helps you build kind of savvy habits for the future. So it allows you to be proactive also, so you can kind of get ahead of the curve if problems arise. And it really, really is simply doing the math. You consider your total resources and subtract tuition and fees, and what you have left are your resources for living. You take those resources for living, you divide by 8 or 12 months, depending on the length of your academic year, and that's your monthly budget. The monthly budget, less your monthly expenses, is what you're going to have in forms of a surplus or a deficit. If you have a surplus, squirrel it away for the rainy day and for emergencies. And if you have a deficit, then it's time to consider what other resources you might be able to apply for to help with your financial situation. Just in terms of the best tips I could offer you, and this is certainly based on what we hear from other students in terms of their common regrets or their common successes. The best way to stick to a budget is to start one, track your expenses, whether you use the envelope method, the shoebox method, an app on your phone, know where your money is going, and keep repeating. A budget is a growing living thing, and it takes practice. We also have some full-length budgeting and debt management workshops. We have a cheat sheet on our website, which collects kind of tips about how to save money. And if you really want some personalized one-on-one service to start a budget or have a financial check-in, then remember that my professionals are here to help, and all you need to do is contact us by email or by phone. So we offer all of our services in both English and French. Most of our services now, given these unprecedented times, are virtual through Zoom or Skype. But as of this week, we are offering a limited number of in-person one-on-one appointments as well to honor students who feel that that's a really important alternative for them. Know that we have all of the safety protocols in place, masks, physical barriers and such. We run our services primarily out of the downtown Brown Student Services building, but we also have support at Mac Campus. And the best way to reach us is through our service account, student.aid@mcgill.ca. But our phones are also open, so you can also use our call center to ask questions and to make appointments. Our website is chock full of information, everything from managing your money to our financial aid programs, to information about government aid and work study. So I would invite you to take a look. And I'm here for another few minutes if there's any questions. Ginny, I suppose folks can unmute and ask verbally, or feel free to use the chat functionality.
Yeah, so there are 2 questions already in the chat.
Okay, I think I have to stop sharing to actually see what that looks like, if you don't mind. Yes, okay. We did lose you, you're back. Okay, that's a question I've resolved. Would you have time to go over which provincial programs are integrated with Canada's Student Loan Grant and which aren't? So Aide financière aux études, the Quebec Loan and Bursary Program, is not integrated. It receives a federal transfer payment from the government, but is completely segregated from the federal loan and grant program. So a Quebecer applying to AFE, all of the assessment, all of the loans and grants are coming from the province, and the province is the one that manages the whole loan repayment. There are Yukon, Northwest Territories, also are kind of standalones. The other provinces are integrated, but to varying degrees. So OSAP is, for Ontario, is fully integrated, which means they will process one loan and you have one loan service provider to deal with. But a province like Alberta offers Canada Student Loan and Grant, but Alberta loans and grants are completely segregated. So you might have a federal loan and a provincial loan with different service providers. Does McGill annually automatically confirm enrollment with other provinces, or students from other provinces need to contact our office? So we do get prompted. Unfortunately, it's not as dynamic as what you might hope. So sometimes it takes a few days for your confirmation of enrollment through your province to come into our queue. We do it on a first come first serve basis. We are quite overwhelmed at this time of year, but we prioritize getting your government aid released. So there is nothing you need to do as long as your application is an electronic application. For the very, very rare situations where you might have been applying via paper, then it would be important for you to call our office just so we can track that application and make sure we are prompted. What resources exist for foreign students to obtain grants and bursaries after the first year? So that's a great question. Now, there are certainly countries that offer government aid programs, so you would need to inquire within your own countries. But generally, aside from Americans, these are not programs that we are very aware of or have fiduciary responsibilities towards. So for an international student, your option might only be McGill's need-based program, bursaries and loans. It is true that if you are in your first year of studies, you would not be eligible to apply to McGill Aid because you have already proven financial capacity for your first 12 months of study to immigration authorities in order to acquire your study permit. But following your first year of studies, you are eligible to apply for aid from my office. International students also would have had the opportunity to apply for our entrance bursary program, which happens around the time of admissions. So you might have had our help to prove your financial capacity, but once you're in your 12 months of first year of studies, you're not eligible to apply. Are there deadlines for the Quebec Loan and Bursary Program? There are no deadlines. They accept applications on a rolling basis, generally up to the last day of the last term of what's defined as the academic year. But we strongly encourage students to apply as soon as possible because it does take time. OSAP right now is, I think, 12 to 14 week delay in getting everything through to actually have an installment released. So the sooner you do it, as soon as applications open, generally that's early June, apply. But it's not too late as long as you apply within your active academic year. I think I have covered all the questions. Any last minute ones?
I think there's Julia asking, where can we sign up for the Budgeting 101 tutorials?
Thanks for the question. I did not see that one. So we will be posting on our website. We have an event band on the side. We also publish through my involvement. So there's some broader communications as well through student services and my involvement. If you want to sign up for our email distribution list, you're also able to email student.aid@mcgill.ca and we push out email notifications whenever we do workshops.
We have to wrap up, but I think there's one last question from Christina.
Yep, so if you are a Canadian citizen, regardless of the fact you've never lived in Canada, you at least have access to the federal portion of government aid. You'll want to contact my office so we can determine which jurisdiction you should apply through in order to be considered for that federal aid.
Perfect. So we would have to move on to the next session, but Cara, thank you so much for such an informative session. I will share your contact information, like your office information with everyone. So if there's any further questions, they can maybe contact your office.
Very good. Thank you, everyone, and I wish you a wonderful first semester and stay safe and healthy. Bye now.
Thank you. Bye.